Well, it's finally sunny outside and getting warmer. Today we're going to discuss the engine that died off of this Craftsman snowblower. The original engine sitting here has a hole in the crankshaft housing right in this location right here. So you can see right here the crankshaft broke through there. So did some research and I came up with an engine off of Amazon. No, this was an eBay engine, sorry. An eBay engine off of Amazon. Almost exactly the same. A couple of numbers off. So, what is the difference between the two? All in all, not a bad engine. It's good shape. It's clean. Almost exactly the same. And I'm saying almost. The first difference that I noticed is that the control unit up here does not have an automatic cutoff switch and a throttle adjuster. The old one has this assembly right here, which is actually a throttle adjuster. So I'm going to have to switch things around over there. The second thing I noticed was that the crankcase bolt on the end right here, this little guy, is a different size than the one that came off the end over here. So it's not a big deal. The shaft is the same. It's just that I had to come up with a modification. The other thing we don't have, here we have the oil fill holes. On these particular models, the oil fill hole down in here and the one on this side is not drilled. So we have, the only way to fill the oil and drain the oil is through the oil opening. The other area that I was a little disappointed about was this little item right here. This is the drain tube for the fuel, for the oil. One thing that did happen, and they didn't tell you about, was that the drain tube literally was broken away over here at the bottom. And I had to take JB Weld and weld this little section back in. The casing is not cracked, but they did break the tube off. I wish they had said something to me about that when I bought the unit. Okay? I knew there would be differences, but I really didn't expect to see damage. But at $99 for this short block, I shouldn't complain. The other difference is the flywheel here. No, the teeth size on this here for the flywheel, for the starter motor, is different. So I'm going to have to pull this whole flywheel assembly off and replace it with this one. It's got the heavier teeth on it. Okay? But it should all work and it should all come together, and we'll wait and see. At $99, I basically have a new engine. Let's wait and see what happens. Okay, problem 2. I had to take this off with this nut right here. That's not a problem. This is the part I need to put on the other engine. Okay? My problem is I can't get that sucker off. That is like super tight on there. I've got a wrench on this end for torque, and then I've got another wrench on this end to hold it in place. It should not be on that tight, but it's on tight, and it's going to be interesting how I get that off. The carburetor fits nice, but the only thing that's gone on easy so far. And the tube that broke off, I put it back on there with JB Weld and let it set up a little while. Well, it's only a drainage tube, so I'm not too worried about it. We'll see what happens. So, what happened to the engine? Connecting rod failure right here. Totally. The parts and everything else are laying in the bottom of this thing. Gears. this bearing. I don't think this thing has a brass bearing on the inside. I don't see it. It just looks to me like just finished pot metal. And I would assume the whole thing just lost lubrication and eventually destroyed itself, because the connecting rod journal here is all galled up, worn out, thinned out, and it's pretty much shot. The back side of the case for the gear housing is still in pretty darn good shape, and I think I rescued most of these parts. The gears aren't damaged and the housing is still in good shape, so I might be able to sell that. So here we have the new engine. All in all, it looks good. This flywheel housing has to come off, assembly has to come off. There are no threads in the oil filler sections. That's not too bad. The only area that really annoyed me was this tube. This is the old drainage tube. This whole bottom section was broken out, and the guy on eBay said brand new out of box. Well, I'm not quite sure about that. I wrote him a letter back and I gave him a rating of neutral, only because he wasn't honest. The carburetor fits nicely. This upper unit assembly here for the governor needs to be changed with this old plate right here, because it has a manual adjuster. So that's our function for the day. The old one that just came off has no generator plate at all in it, as compared to the new one, which I'm going. This is the original one here, and I'm going to mount that back on. I'm going to have to mount the governor magnetic housing back up on here as such, and then reassemble the whole process in reverse with the old components. Okay, the next function is we mount the coil, spark plug wire to the spark plug, although I forgot how the routing goes. Then we have the kill line, and then we have the generator line right here. The kill line, the generator line, and the kill line. So they'll have to be rerouted also. But what I'm going to do here is place a shim in between here, just like that, to give it some clearance so that it doesn't rub up against the flywheel when it's turning. Should always have a little bit of clearance in there. Maybe 20 thousandths is enough. Alright, the top's converted over. So you can see we now have this handle here, the adjuster. This is your kill switch off your coil. So when you move the handle over, move it over, like that, it will kill right here. It'll ground out on the corner here and kill the switch. Opening that up again puts pressure on the governor spring. The setting is at number 6. I don't know why, but the other thing you really have to be careful on is this little tab right here. It's so that when you move this the throttle linkage forward, that little adjuster clicks in over the top and doesn't jam up against it and push this governor all the way over. Okay, not a good idea. The little spring is attached and you're all set, and that's what it looks like right there. That was from, unit is from the old engine, okay, because it just didn't have this adjuster here that I needed. Also, the shroud on the outside that goes around the outside, which is a little black plate, is of different size than the one that came with the replacement engine. So you have to use the old shroud also. Next is the electric starter unit. As you can see, it has the larger gears in it, which have to match up to the larger gears in the housing, like that. This is why I had to change the entire flywheel assembly in the first place, because the old flywheel assembly had the wrong gear teeth on it. Tip number 5001, before you install this governor over here and across into the carburetor float adjustment, make sure that you have routed your spark plug wire behind this rod here, up through and up this little slot. Otherwise, you're going to have to do what I have to do now, disassemble this whole part and do it over again. So this is first, before the governor rod. The harder part is going to be putting this outer shroud cover on because of two things. Number one, the original engine came with this heat shield plate already assembled. Okay, that heat shield plate has to go underneath this housing here, which is difficult. And it's difficult because I had to put in this drain tube. And this drain tube is the item that was broken off and had to be JB welded in. Now I can see probably what has happened and why this thing ended up back in the salvage yard, if you will, and sold to me for $99. So in order to solve this problem, I had to pull the carburetor back off. Now, as you can see, the shroud here is properly positioned again. Oh well. So, okay, how'd you do? The engine is complete. Not too shabby. Looks good on this side. Everything looks exactly the way I want it. This side is okay. Not too bad. The fuel tank's in. The up front section is done. Note, I don't have a pull start here. This is because the pull start is here and the string is broken, so I have to fix this. The only part that I had left over was this. I haven't got a clue where it belongs, not one. I'm quite sure it'll show up at the most inopportune time. This part's good, the starter's in, I've got 1 quart of oil in the thing for the generator so the light will work, and that's it. We're ready to put it into the snowblower and give it a try. Okay, it's installed completely. Covers are on, belts are on, engine's in place, everything's lubricated. And since this is one of those fancy dancy electrical starts, let's see what happens. We need to, well, it's got it on fast. Let's go. Am I choked? A little bit choked. All right, let's see what happens. I don't see much power here at this point. Woohoo! Look at that. Just run. And the light works too. All right. And it doesn't sound like a bucket of nuts and bolts. It's got good exhaust. Wow. All right. Well done. Another salvage complete. Total cost, $99 for the engine and about $8 of labor. Talk to you later. Bye.